And we're ready for part 2 of spiritual healing and the laws of the universe. My name is Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show. And I typically have a special guest on the show. We have a spiritual conversation regarding spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And today I have back with me one of my favorite people, Barbara Sanson. Thank you for being on the show again, Barbara.
Oh, Willa, it is my pleasure, and thank you so much for asking me. And thank all the listeners who are interested in evolving themselves, helping as healers, learning more about the laws of the universe. Willa has such a great program. So it is so joyful to be present to you all. Thank you.
Yes. So Barbara, for those who don't know who she is a registered Lilydale medium. And for, I think, almost 30 years, you served as the chairperson of the Lilydale Healing Temple. And so in that capacity, and certainly before that, all of the healing energy and experiences that you have had, and then as a healing teacher, a teacher of spiritual healing. You have just a vast reservoir of information. And I know people are really excited to join us today for part 2 of spiritual healing and the laws of the universe, which is such a great title. And I encourage everybody who hasn't yet seen part 1 to go back and view that. You can see that on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. And you can certainly like and share and follow and enjoy to your heart's content. Barbara has been on my show in the past, so we've covered spiritual healing in other shows. I encourage you to look back in the archive videos. Again, Barbara is a wonderful resource for spiritual healing. So let's get right on into part 2 of spiritual healing and the laws of the universe.
Thank you, Willa. Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another piece that begins to form our puzzle in a little bit of order about the laws of the universe, how they work for us as healers, but also as human beings. And then the laws affect everything, if you will, but then how it might spark or prompt you to want to learn more about spiritual healing, to be able to help yourself or just work. You know, when you want to be a spiritual healer and you pursue the length of study, and yes, you can learn the technique very simply. That is a small part of the vastness of spiritual healing. When you begin to let that energy awaken and flow through you and work through you, there are so many levels of growth, evolution of thought and mind that begin to evolve and emerge through the person, that love opens up. And I can almost guarantee that almost every single person I have taught over many, many years has evolved, grown, become more, loved themselves. And it is such a privilege and a joy to see people come to Lilydale or send me a card or a phone call or be at the healing temple. And they say, oh, this is the best thing I've ever done for myself. It's made me so aware of my own self and actions. And I'm so grateful. Great. Then of course we give spiritual hugs, hug. And it's just joyful. It's like going back to the piece of the child that was you when your grandma took you for ice cream and you've been waiting all day long. It's like the best dessert, folks, if you will. It is magnificent. So again,
true. It's so true. And people who come through the gates of Lilydale, they feel that energy, that spiritual healing presence. And then to be able to sit on a bench in the healing temple is such a special atmosphere there. And they really are opening to the experience of healing and the joy.
They absolutely do, Willa, and they become not only enthusiastic and wanting and desirous of sharing what they have learned or love with others. I think people become younger at heart, if you will, not childish, but younger at heart in the awareness of the beauty that surround us. You know, one of my favorite books, and I don't have it here, is John O'Donohue, Celtic priest, and he wrote toward the middle or the end of his uh, authorship a book called Beauty. And if you have not read it, ladies and gentlemen, it is the most inspiring and loving book about how we can view our world, and it's called Beauty, and that's a little something that you might be interested in today. I'm going to go on and talk about, if I can, to the best of my ability, kind of where we left off in part one. And so one of the fun things I wanted to open with, you know, spiritual, spirit you all. If you write out that word and you start to divide it, it's kind of interesting. Is it a coincidence? I have no idea.
I
But
think not.
I think not. I think you're right, Willa. Spirit you all. And right in spiritual is the word to remind us that it is not given to one and not the other. It is available in our birthright, and it works through us as human beings, and we can develop it greater. That's up to us. But it is always there, just like the love of God is always, or divine creator, as I said before, many words amplify the beauty of God. And so the isness or the oneness of that is love. And it flows through every human life. It flows in a way through the animals, through the earth itself, in the beauty of the earth. And so it is not separate from any of us. May we today, in a beautiful spring day, appreciate the magnificent beauty of one another and the earth. Thank you, God. So I'm going to go and start with a principle, and we're going to talk today about a couple of the laws. The law of vibration, if you will, the law of rhythm, and we'll touch on the law of polarity. They work very closely together, and they work in the development of our ability to be focused, bring in the beauty of hands-on healing and spiritual healing. But as we grow and develop, they can become stronger and stronger, and they're necessary for vitality, if you will, the vitality of our lives and the health vitality of all. So we're going to talk about those today. Eric Butterworth, a wonderful unity minister, now on the other side of life. But he's written many books, and I'll let you discover and explore that. The book I'm going to read just a brief passage from is In the Flow of Life. And he simply is talking about a concept or a principle. And he says, the healing stream as a basic flow of life has been, and this is what I just love about this little paragraph, dramatically demonstrated in a biological laboratory experiment seeking to prove the field theory of life. Tree mold was selected because it was a simple organism and an unspecialized form of a living substance.
So you just said tree mold? Barbara, did you just say tree mold?
Tree
mold? The mold off of a tree?
Yes, mold from a tree.
Okay.
Because it is a simple, uncomplex structure, cellular structure. So a slice of the mold was put under a very powerful microscope where the viewers could see a lacing of capillary rivulets flowing in this piece on the glass, and it was flowing in what they considered some subcellular fluid. In other words, it was in a conduit. It was in a conduit. It wasn't just the cellular structures itself, but it was being carried by, get this now, folks, as a healer. It was being carried by a conduit of subcellular fluid. It was discovered that the flow continues for exactly 58 seconds with all the channels flowing in one direction. Then the flow abruptly halts and reverses itself to flow exactly 58 seconds in the other direction. There is no known, now according to when this book was done, it may be different today, but I'm reading from the book. There is no known explanation for this phenomenon, but on and on it goes in a rhythmic cycle, back and forth. 58 seconds one way, 58 seconds the other way. And then he says, and I love this statement at the end of the paragraph, perhaps it is the rhythm of the universe. Because I'm going to talk about the law of rhythm now and explain a little bit more of that. We all have patterns that affect us spiritually, that we don't always see, but they're there, like the aura and energy, if you will. So patterns. We have mental patterns of how we organize and lace our beliefs together or associate with them. We have patterns of an emotional grid of patterns where, oh, this happened, feels like it happened before. Oh, yep, it did. I've got another piece there. So we have patterns or layers, often we call them layers, of emotional structure of how we perceive and believe our life and how we associate with our feelings. And then, of course, we have patterns in our physical development, most of which are the rhythmic of the heart. That's a pattern of perpetual consistency. Rhythms of, if you will, how the cells formulate and break down and go into decay that we extract from the body, so on and so forth. There are many, many correlations to these patterns. But imagine that not just us, but the universe has this pattern of rhythmic flow. And you know, when they had all the huge radio receivers in Arizona, New Mexico, years ago, and they were looking to extract sounds from the universe, there was a rhythmic pattern of sound that was orchestrated repetitiously over and over again. We are not far from that. We are a part of that.
Yes.
Some of us hear very clearly. Some of us lay our ear to the earth, if you will, on a nice spring day, and we say, oh, I can hear the vibration of the earth at work. Yes, we can. Some of us have to go to the woods to hear the birds or the flowing stream to hear that. But the earth itself has a noise. And most recently, through the last 20 years, if you say, a lot of people have identified that noise, that sound outwardly. But the earth does have a beautiful rhythmic tone. So does all life. We don't always identify or recognize it. But now to pertain it to how it affects us in our physical body or when we're doing healing work. When we sit in development of preparation for becoming the conduit, the battery, like we talked about in part one, for spiritual healing, there is a rhythm of energy that we can take up. Now, songs have rhythm, right?
Yes.
Our voices have rhythm. Some we love to hear over and over, and others that we kind of go, ooh, 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 that's a little too much for me today. Okay, volume can be up and down. Things can be working on that law of relativity, excuse me, where we can have good times, happy times. We can have the opposite. And sometimes we walk into that rhythmic mode existing already. And it can be conflicting with our own, okay, as well as polarities, as well as vibrations. These all kind of, they form a beautiful hub, if you will, these three laws. So here we are wanting to do spiritual healing work as healers. And I would encourage us to sit as quietly as we can. And I say to me, the greatest form of meditation is knowing the quiet in the silence of the oneness that is in the eachness of us. Still yourself
Yeah.
and come to the I am presence of the Creator or Divine. Takes time for some of us. Some of us can get there very quickly and arrive and whoa, and you'll tell another person in the class or something, and they'll look at you like, oh my God, I can't even stop my mind at night from chattering, let alone be quiet for 5 minutes. It does take practice, folks. It
It
does.
does take practice, and entering into that inner silence, that inner stillness, is such a good point, Barbara. It's something that whether you're a healer or a medium or just acknowledging that you are a spiritual being, if you can enter into that stillness, you'll be able to hear, as Barbara you've been saying, you'll be able to hear the harmony of the universe.
Absolutely.
Really feel the rhythm, the vibration of of this majesty of the divine that we are living in. And it's such a beautiful example. That's, a lot of times we do use music to help people
Ooh,
understand this idea of the harmony and the vibration. It's so important that the big takeaway for people in terms of this is that when they are still, they will be able to listen and tap in intuitively with their soul to the divine guidance and the divine presence.
absolutely, Willa. Thank you for that. Appreciate that very much. Also, with what Willa has just said, it is difficult for many of us to arrive at nothingness. Though we think it's nothingness, it's allness. Okay, folks? It is not the nothing. Oh, I didn't hear anything. Good. Let God talk back to you, if you will, in that silence, in that quietness.
I
Because,
actually have something I wanted to share with you because I was reading this earlier, and I just think would be great to share it at this point.
thank you.
Um, so in healing, we recognize the immanence, the presence, the spirit or breath of light and life permeating the whole man. The divine breath is more subtle than thought itself, and therefore can control the tone and manner of thought. When that breath is infused into the mind, the shadow of the body, cast by thought, will become correspondingly harmonious, and the expression will be immediate. Not only the face, but every cell of the body changes its expression when the mind is reanimated. For the spirit, sensed within the consciousness, is felt immediately as new life, as new life. And so it's really about being in that harmonious state so that you can feel the infinite working through your body as a healer and as a healee.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful passage. And you can, folks, but it takes time of, let's say, I once taught a class called The Art of Meditation. It takes time. It isn't going, a few people will get it right away. But a lot of us, it takes time to develop the quietness within. And so in that silence is the power of your heart and soul connected to divine intelligence, infinite spirit, if you will, and the creation and the all oneness of the universe. Sometimes people get incredible messages as resulting to that. But the point in serving as a spiritual healer would be to attune yourself to the divine presence, to know that that is flowing not only around you in your own mindset, if you will, but in and through you every breath you take. And so that is, I would say, an important prerequisite to preparing for healing. So I'm going to go back to the rhythm. When you're in the silence and your breath, though you may be aware of it or you may not, some people fall asleep. I always say, as one of my teachers, it's okay if you fall asleep because 99.9% of the time you are going to wake up. And if you don't, welcome to the next life. And all I can, you know, but you do, people, you do. Listen, you know, my sense of humor on this glorious sunny day is at its peak. So I do have to let me go on, please. Okay. So when we can associate and remember those experiences, it becomes in the flow of that rhythm easier to go back to it. And pretty soon people can, within 30, 45 seconds or so, can go right into that place where that energy is familiar and relevant and helpful to you. I would encourage you to learn how that feels. Learn how your body and your spirit respond to that, because it is an experience rhythmically over and over that will empower you. And as I say, you can get to go to that much easier by, if you will, just closing your eyes, shifting your breathing, letting out the frustrations or just the awareness of the day's events and going inside. It becomes easy. People say, oh, you can meditate so easy. Well, I've been meditating probably 50 years, you know, but it was not always so easy, folks, in the beginning. But there is that rhythm, that breathing rhythm, the association of your heart and a rhythmic correlation of life. It is also, whether you realize it or not, there is a rhythm to what's going on outside of you, if you will. There is a flow or a rhythmic energy. Some people feel it, some people don't. Neither of which is, if you don't feel it, it is not wrong. You may develop that kinesthetic mode of being able to feel it. So there is one powerful example of how the rhythm, also, let me just say also too, folks, that people often feel if their feet, if you have your shoes off and they're on a ground or carpeting or tile or wood floors are great because they pick up the energy or the vibration. People will feel that rhythmic pulsation, not like bang, 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 but slowly, quietly, they'll feel that they are connected to that. And that is lovely.
Yes, there's a subtle vibration, almost like a thrum or a hum when you're connecting with the earth, and then it starts to hum through your very being, right? And we feel the vibration through our bodies. And
And
I love the pattern of the breath seems to enhance that for me. So
yes, yes,
when I am become very aware of my breath initially, and then kind of get into that relaxed breath pattern where I don't even have to think about breathing, that's where I'm kind of in that silent mode of receptivity, and I'm able to connect more fully with more full awareness, I should say,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the divine and to healing.
Beautiful, Willa. Thank you so much. And so when I make now reference to the scientists who did this study on this small cellular piece of a living organism, this tree mold, and it was discovered at that time that there is a rhythm to the pattern of life, then there is a rhythm to the pattern of all of our lives. So I say to people who really want to further their education in spiritual healing, spend time quietly, spend time in observation, spend time going inward, at least once or twice a day if you have the opportunity. And just asking yourself, the God within you, to be aware of that rhythmic motion that is at work in your breath, in your silence, because you are connecting to a piece of the life force that is rich and consistent. And they say, Eric says 58 seconds. Well, isn't it a coincidence, folks, that a minute is 60 seconds?
I was going to say we could probably set the tree mold to be the egg timer.
There you go. There you go. It's true. It is so.
And then, you know, in part one, you had mentioned about the mathematics and the pattern of math that is present in our universe and in our essence. So that math unifies with the vibration and creates the further harmony in terms of this.
It certainly does.
And the consistency, you know, that you're talking about, Barbara, I think is really important for people to understand, because when you get used to doing the work, to having a spiritual practice, mind, body, spirit, you align yourself to that. It's easier and easier as time goes on to access that more readily.
Absolutely, Willa. And I would encourage us, whether you want to be a healer or you're just liking these programs that Willa is providing, please give it a try, practice it. It will empower and give you a greater sense of the personhood of you in the light of the Creator, and it will help transform things in your life. Subtle at first, but then we go, oh, I just think I had an aha moment in the universe where I discovered something about myself. Yay, that's beautiful. Okay, let me go on. So we talk about the law of rhythm again and how it is at work with us. So therefore, folks, when you work, if you work with another person in a live setting, you can very, very often be incredibly aware of the rhythmic pulsation of their body. First, of course, with the heart beating, which is in the 60 or 70 range per minute cycle, which I think constitutes a relative almost normal, somewhere between 60 and 72. I've forgotten exactly, but there's a rhythm there. And you begin to feel that. And then you begin to put your hands out to the sides of the body as you become more attuned and more sensitive to not more sensitive to the energies. You'll start to feel that out in their aura, out in the energy field around them. You'll start feeling that if you really practice this over many years, walking up to someone in the sense of greeting them, perhaps a friend, a family member, a loved one. You will also sense that, or not, of someone who is not user friendly, who may have issues, who may have problems.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to sense that rhythmic pulsation or not. So I say, don't try to go up and give them yours, because that will never happen. Step aside. Let them pass. But you can feel that very much, especially in love and happiness and joy with other people. Okay. If I have any other thoughts about that, I will come back to that. But I I think we all understand on a basic concept now, at least how that law of rhythm can associate us just as a human being, then with our loved ones, then when things don't feel right, we also have a sense with that too. And
Mhm.
then also when we're going to prepare ourselves to be the conduit or the healer for someone who is asked for spiritual healing. Okay, any comment to you, Willa, before we go forward?
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of that rhythm and of the vibration, the healing prayer that as spiritual healers we say in advance of in entering into that
Yes,
spiritual healing mode really does set that tone. It sets up the vibrational frequency necessary to do the work. And so
absolutely.
when you are into that mode of, let's say that's the chord on, or that's the little string on the harp that you want to pluck, so that you have a certain energy frequency to do the work on a higher power. When we have that as spiritual healers in our work, we're able to respond to that more readily. And then when people come in, sometimes with a discordant energy, it's easier for us to pick that up. I remember reading that they had done some work that a healthy person, it was easier for them to pick up the unhealthy person's issues and understand where to do the healing, because they knew that that had thrown off the vibrational frequency for themselves. And so I think that when we enter as spiritual healers into that vibrational frequency mode of pure intention and pure practice, that it aligns us so completely with the divine in those moments that we're able to allow God to do the work, uh, to align that person to the divine presence again in mind, body, spirit. And so it's done through, as you say, vibration and rhythm. And also, I do feel that law of intention.
Well, definitely, it's powerful. Well, intention invokes all of those
Yes.
because you are opening to the right through the heart and soul to divine consciousness.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go on with now the
Please.
next piece that I would add to this, and that is about the law of polarity. Okay, sorry, wrong, getting ahead of myself. The law of vibration. And as we know that everything vibrates to a frequency that can be pretty much recorded, or some vibrations go up and down, others are consistent, such as a tone, if you will, a frequency of sound can be a consistent tone, but it's also a vibration because it does not rest, it continues. And so in our vibrational frequencies, we have the opportunity to elevate ours. Let's talk about just that for the moment, and then I will talk about our connection to the intelligence and then to the person that is asking for a hands-on healing. So we have a vibration when we sit and we meditate and we let go of thoughts, because thoughts have a vibration too. Okay, in a way, they are busy, 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 busy. Some people can quiet them easily. Some people have to work at it. That is your homework assignment if you choose. You have to you have to develop it, and you have to be willing, as Willa said, in your intention to want to develop that. But it's very possible. So vibration, frequency, if you will. Everything has that. When we let go and go to the heart and the soul of love and perceive that there is the silence that is pulsating around us and through us, the quietness, the no sound, the no thought, the no squiggling in your chair, anything that distracts meditation. You are elevating your vibration because you are up into a higher mindset where there is a sense of no thoughts disturbing me or distracting me, and you are moving up to a higher vibratory or energy rate, if you will, that will work and flow through you. So in guided meditations, then people would step in and simply say, perhaps after a period of time, and now as the light of higher mind has encircled you and filled you and been taken in by every breath you take, releasing everything that is not in perfect harmony with you, begin to realize that your vibration in the light of Christ or the mind of higher intelligence is now at work with you. Yeah, I even say that and my hands start like vibrating, tingling. It's just like, whoa. But we have been doing this, Willa and I, and many other people for years. So be gentle with yourself, folks. But I know you're going to find some immediate results because it does work. So therefore, as it's worked through us and it's elevated us, so can a mantra, an affirmation, a prayer, music, thinking wonderful, loving, powerful thoughts of healing. And all of these things can be used for the attunement and preparedness of being a healer. But ladies and gentlemen, use them in your own life day by day to work on the healing of any constriction. See, all you can say is, dear God, help remove any constriction of my life so I may grow in wisdom and love and understanding to be a better person in love for myself. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you and gratitude, if you will, are, if you would, vibrations of words that are on a higher order of love. And when you say, whether it's in your mind or in your heart, thank you, divine essence. Thank you for the blessings of my life. You are invoking a higher vibration right through you. And it is, if you say it out loud, the words, the emphasis of that vibration is going right out to the universe. And if you've done any looking about Dr. Emoto and the water that he did, a Japanese doctor, and how he studied water, and how the word thank you, love, okay, gratitude and healing are part of the change in the structure of a piece of water. It magnifies itself. It gets bigger, it gets more pronounced. And so it does change the frequency, the vibratory rate of something. Yes, it does. Now we know when people are negative, because I'm sure we all know at least one person, and we can see that, you see, and they operate that way. We know that their vibratory rate, especially if they don't do healthy things for themselves, watch TV all days of the week, if you will, do things that are unhealthy, eat foods that are not nourishing or helping their intake of vitamins and minerals. If they're saying negative thoughts about people and themselves, they are stressing and compromising their frequency, their vibration, the law of rhythm, and the law of polarity. And eventually, when this is stuck to your mental, or excuse me, Your emotional body first, and then your mental body. Your spiritual body is pleading with you to do something that is of love for yourself. And if you don't listen and you get frustrated, because people do, they get aggressive, they get angry, they get in the sense of um, unpleasantries, or the other one that is really my pet peeve is worry. Worry is such an unresourceful, diminishing frequency. And then, they go to step out of their house or they go somewhere, boom, they fall on the sidewalk, because all of these things are, it's just an example of lowering their energy, of lowering their consciousness and the energy that works to keep them up, happy, alive. Then they call the healers and say, I need a spiritual healing. Okay? If this is not something that I'm making fun of, folks. I'm smiling because I understand it. And when I was 25, I knew about healing, but I didn't understand it, not like I do 50 years later. And understand not quite what's going on in the process of our human beingness with the flow of God.
Yes.
So, the law of vibration. Good health has a frequency. Bad health has a frequency. Getting sick, the common cold, all of these things have a that they have been able in science to actually measure with technology. And so when we elevate our frequency by prayer, affirmation, thinking lovely thoughts, affirming, I know the light of God flows to me and through me. Awaken in me the essence of healing, that I can be restored to balance and harmony. If you start a simple little affirmation, you have to believe it, first of all. That is very important. But if you start asking with the depth of your heart and soul, things are going to happen for you. So the healer comes to this preparatory state, and they sit and they say something very simple like, may the power of the healing force of the love of God flow through me to the people that are seeking healing, that they are renewed, and I remain through your love and your vibration in balance and harmony. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you.
Amen.
When you say that I may remain in balance and harmony, you are not going to take on the conscious emanation of another person if it is a lower frequency, or if someone you touch them and you just know they are absolutely in such a devastating place of sorrow or pain or depression, or they've had a loss in their family and they're dealing with grief. And those with compassion, absolutely, my heart feels love and empowerment for them to be able to move away from that. And do not take that on. It is not yours. But many healers who don't have the awareness of that do take it on. And they go home and they go, oh man, am I whipped from those 5 healings I did today? I've never had any such thing. I've been tired because I've stayed up and watched too many movies at night, or had maybe sugar at midnight, which I shouldn't do. My fault, my responsibility. But I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, in all love and sincerity, I have never been fatigued from the power of spiritual healing that flows through me to the receiver. Because we go back to part 1 and watch that. I am confident in the association of the laws of the universe of who I am in the light of God. That's why you cannot run before you are upright and taking your first steps. The same applies to understanding the development and the progression of what it is to understand spiritual healing. So, in the vibration, we can elevate ours. Again, let me go over this through positive thoughts. We can elevate the spirit energy moving through us by being aware of it, asking it to be more pronounced in us, opening our mind, body, spirit to the receptivity, the acceptance, the allowing of ourselves to receive. And then we ask our physical body to accept the vibration of love, highest vibration in the universe, ladies and gentlemen. The vibration of love, and let it become reawakened and flow in us. It's never left us, but we do diminish ourselves by our thoughts, our actions, our attitudes, and how we do sometimes abuse our physical body. So that part of it's up to us.
Yes.
When we begin to understand, a healer may say to a receiver, this is what I say. I'm not telling you you have to say what I say. I'm just giving you a piece of information. Will you allow yourself today to accept and receive the renewal of love through spiritual healing? And I can watch their little eyeballs twitch if they're not sure about that. And then I don't force feed them. God never force fed us. I say, will you allow myself to touch your back, the top of your head, and perhaps your shoulders and your hands? Will you allow yourself to receive it? Yes, I say thank you for allowing the memory of what might be the renewal in the light of God to touch you. Thank you for accepting it. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about your power. It's about empowering them. Yes, we need to be empowered as individuals to be very, very congruent and awake and present to the responsibility of spiritual healing. But there's nothing ever said that you have to do it for them. What you can do is lovingly remind them. So I say to them at the end, may I take your hands. Now here's another vibrational thing. In the ends of your fingertips, in the ends of your toes, in the ends of your thumbs are nerve endings that end, that are powerful. The power of touch when you're in a dark room helps you find the light switch, hopefully. The power of that touch when you are awake at night helps you perhaps find the edge of your bed when you're climbing back in for rest, or when you're walking down it might be dark and you have a hold of the railing of a stairway. Thank you, God. Those little receptors of the nerves at the ends of your fingers and thumbs are telling you, oh, this is good. Hold on. Oh, we're coming to the end now. You better look up and look for the light switch over on the other side. And you go along, there it is. You felt it. You flipped it on, and the light came on. That happens with us too.
Yes,
Okay.
as healers, we access that divine spark within us.
That's
it reminds
right.
me of the Sistine Chapel, where you can see Adam and God, and you can
Isn't
see the
that great?
divine spark shared there.
Yes.
And
I
that's
love
what
that.
happens when you're doing healing work. You can feel that divine spark.
Well, I have had a few of those sparks, like absolutely jump off of somebody when there's a lot of magnetic energy and the conditions are right. Look, folks, I'm not claiming that. that I have any superpowers. What I'm saying is the
Super Barbara.
the electromagnetic force fields of the universe, there might be a lot of density to the air. There might be a thunderstorm coming. You see, there's a lot of conditions that when you are prepared and place your hands on someone, that there can be a spark. I've had people jump right in my chair, okay, because there's been that spark. And
We're not talking about static electricity.
no, we are not.
Just so everybody's very clear. This isn't about getting zapped by static electricity.
They've
This
been
is
awakened.
healing.
They've been awakened by their acceptance of releasing the struggle that held them back from the power of infinite intelligence. And sometimes they jump a little. Oh my God, I don't know what just happened. It felt like a spark. I said, bless it. It is the love of God awakening you. See, folks, it's not about me. It's about them. It's about why are we healers? I'm going to go to that intentional thing now, Willa. Why are we healers? For the glory? I think we better be careful because God's liable to say, well, the glory in the store is all sold out. You're just going to have to be who you are the way you are. And so then pretty soon when people elicit conversation and they're not getting fed the glory, they get discouraged. Yeah, this healing doesn't work. I don't know if I want to be a healer or not. Okay, maybe that's the highest and best thing that should happen for them right then. Maybe they should rest, take a break, learn a little more, meditate, just be themselves for a year or two. You see, everybody learns a different way. It is your way to learn with the divine flow. So in intention, when you are sitting in that quiet, prayerful state of desirous to serve humanity in the reverence and in the power of the laws of the universe, remember that you are the conduit and the awakening of the source through you and around you is magnificent. Love it, ask it to be present, bless it, give it gratitude, and go to the work of hands-on and healing energy as if it is the greatest love affair you have ever had in this world, because God is flowing through you to the receiver. It is a very humbling experience, folks, and it is a very powerful one, because as they are healed, you're also going to have revelations of renewal, awareness, upliftment. It elevates your vibration. So it is a win-win situation. It is when people get out of their emotional and mental power of love and joy and happiness that the things begin to affect them. I tell that in the training, do not serve as a healer. If you went out the night before and had a little too much to drink, it lowers your vibration. I mean, I'm talking about more than a little too much to drink, okay? Do not come to the healing temple if you smell like a cigarette. Absolutely not. I have no judgment. If people want to smoke, that's their choice, not mine. But I do not want you serving when you have that vibrational smell and energy around you in your hair, on your clothes. Absolutely not. It lowers the frequency of the vibration of you. Do not come to serve as a healer if you've just had a little fender bender, if you've gotten a nasty phone call from somebody. Realign yourself. Balance. Bring back, call to you the highest energy that is available to you And if you still feel a little out of sorts, sit quietly while other people may do healing, or say to someone, it is not in my best interest to serve as a healer today. I will send you love in prayer, and tomorrow perhaps is a better day for us to join. Okay? Because I see a lot of healers come flying. Oh, I'm so exhausted. I just got here. I parked my car. I'm going to race into the bathroom and change my clothes. I said, stop. I want you to walk into the bathroom and look at God in the mirror. I want you to look in the mirror and find God. And I want you to do that before you come out of this powder room, so that the presence of God is reawakened in you. And if that does not happen, then I would like you to sit very quietly until you feel that energy comes back. Now, all the veteran healers understand that. They know. They know. Because we didn't get to be 50, 60, 70, whatever ages we all are. We didn't get there without going through the walk of life and identifying with some of this. And you identify too. And you know what, folks? If you are just listening to this class, I will tell you that gift of looking in the mirror and finding the soul of God and saying, thank you, God. You are love within me. I love you, and I am connected to that divine birthright that was given to you in your birth. And may my day be on course and in harmony with all life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's part of giving yourself a healing.
Whew.
Big stuff. It's such subtle things that people seldom talk about these things, folks.
But it's important because that's part of the right practice. I frequently will tell people it has to be right intention and right practice, especially when you're doing spiritual unfoldment, if you're doing spiritual healing, anything that you have to have that essence of awareness of the divine in those moments. You really want to be in that pure life, infinite space. And be part of the living spirit in those moments, and be part of that infinite intelligence. It's so important what you're saying, for people to kind of take a pause, take a few breaths, collect yourself, and if you're not quite there yet, take another pause.
That's right. And it will come when you practice calligraphy, you practice riding a bike, you practice archery, you practice boating, canoeing. It gets better with practice.
Mm-hmm.
When you focus and say, I want to do a good job. Guide my thoughts and actions so that I can perform to the best of my ability on this math test, making lasagna, learning how to canoe, whatever it is, folks. Set your intention of living before you ever get out of bed in the morning. And then, if you need to, if you have some frustrations in the day, which, if we're in business, going back to business now, all the things that are going to re-emerge. If you get a little frustrated, ladies and gentlemen, go into the restroom and place your back just up against the wall that may be cool, and feel strength or strong or substance to hold you up. And close your eyes for just a minute and affirm that I go back to the consciousness of who I really am. And I let the struggles of the outside world, the people and the situations, go out in my out breaths as I remember that I am in the power of my own empowerment in the light of God. Thank you. Thank you. 60 seconds, you will have released some negative vibration. You will. You will have claimed a balance in polarities, positive and negative. And I don't know how much longer we have. Well, that I may save to another time.
Sure, sure.
I don't want to drench them with so much that they go like, what, what? I want you to absorb it and go, wow, I never knew these things.
Well,
Yes, you did.
I think you're really helping them access that sense of peace that is necessary, especially in these times, and when people are really seeking out healing in these moments. And what you've covered, I think, is really beautiful. And I think we'll just recap for them real quickly.
Thank you. I'd like to go back and finish the fingertip and
yes,
the toes in, because I really didn't wrap that up. So I want to say simply that our touching of things that are healthy, loving, good, empowering, be it a cat or dog or children, grandparents, your sister, a neighbor, someone you haven't seen for a while, is with the fingertips recording, going right through you and being recorded through your heart and soul. The touching of the earth and the beauty of planting flowers or cultivating the earth, or in a garden picking the corn, picking the tomatoes. That is such a beautiful energy of things to do. So people often say, oh, your food is so good. You put such love in your food. Yes, I do. And I'm one of the millions who do. So please don't think it's an exclusive thing. When you cook with the intention of love and making things good and satisfying for people. There was a wonderful movie like Water Like Chocolate years ago. I tell you, watch the movie. It was fabulous. I loved it. So we do have this identifier of kinesthetic consciousness with the earth and with all life and with ourselves. And when you finish a healing, it isn't always necessary if you to flick it off, throw it away, do this, and create it is not necessary. It is simply, ladies and gentlemen, you may choose to wipe your hands in some water that has a little bit of perhaps a sanitizer in it, or you just may wipe them with a towel, but you don't have to flick or throw away anybody's perceiving bad energy. Let God do it. God didn't say you had to do that. God said, place your hands on the person in higher love, and the light of that will come through to you in your hands to the person receiving. The person receiving lets go of stuff, and I've seen healers over and over think they have to throw it away. Do you think the healer next to you wants to be in the path of that? I don't think so. Heck, I jumped aside.
I guess I didn't think about it in that term. I guess when I have done that, it's kind of like if you've had a dog and they shake things off, they reset their energy. It's kind of like okay, I'm done with that particular person's vibrational energy. I'm preparing myself for the next.
Well, I've seen a lot of people shake it off every time they do the next move in healing.
Oh, the next move even. Wow.
Well, yes, and I've some, and these are people I love and they love me. And I have said, and where in your thinking have you developed this thought that it is necessary to do this when you are only the conduit? And if you are the highest and best conduit that you can be on that given day, mind, body, and spirit, you are not going to absorb the off castings or the release of anybody else's energy. It's not going to happen.
The angels take care of things.
Right? The divine takes care of that.
Yes.
So, then people start to go, oh, I never thought about that. And I say, I'm not telling you what to do because that is not honorable to you. I am telling you just consider the actions of what you are doing. That's all.
That's right.
So, in closing of this segment today, I hope this has inspired you, ladies and gentlemen, to do some very simple things for yourself, through yourself, that can help the earth, the animals, loved ones. You can place your hands on the shoulders of someone, just simply that alone, and saying, I invoke the light of God to flow, that you receive that which you can absorb and take with you in love this day. May this healing be yours. God bless you.
Yeah.
And so I want to close with a little thought, Willa, from the Tao of Healing.
Ooh,
Tao
that's
of,
really cool.
it's a great little book.
Yeah.
And actually, it says simply, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually much easier and more fun to be compassionate, kind, generous, and forgiving. But people seem to forget this and wonder why they find themselves in a world out of balance. When we forget ourselves, we lose touch with the earth. Believe in powerlessness, invent a wrath of God then. Cruel leaders, uncaring parents, rebellious children. It becomes a desolate world. Your relationship with the universe reflects what you remember. There is no advantage to living in fear. Wake up and pay attention. That is from the Tao of Healing, written, translated by a man who was a healer in a healing consciousness. These may not be the exact word for word, but he has translated it into a healing consciousness. So thank you.
Yeah, that is so beautiful, Barbara.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you shared today about that law of vibration and the law of rhythm, and how important when it comes to spiritual healing, especially, that you ask and that you accept, that you know, request and you allow. That those are such important components to
Yes,
having the intention and then allowing the action. There's that cause and effect that is happening in everyone's life when it comes to spiritual healing.
absolutely. And the one other little tiny little piece, gratitude. We'll talk about the word gratitude someday, or Willa may do that herself. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether it's totally inside, when I do my closing prayer with people, for me, it's always outside because I am the conduit of the healing. But the word is a power word.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Dr. Emoto's thank yous and love, you will choose to say thank you a whole lot more. It's not only going out from you, it's empowering the cleansing of any negativity within you.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and Willa, I'm so privileged. Thank you, Willa. And may you take the highest and have the most beautiful day. God bless you.
Yes. We really appreciate you, Barbara. And what a wonderful part 2 of spiritual healing and the laws of the universe. You've covered a lot of ground with us over the last 2 episodes, and we're really thankful for and very full of the gratitude, all I must say. And I hope everybody has really enjoyed receiving and allowing these spiritual words to infuse their very being so that they can be more aligned with their true spiritual purpose. And when we align with spiritual natural laws, when we're talking about these laws of the universe, we're talking about spiritual natural laws and how important they are in every aspect of our life, but especially when it comes to spiritual healing. So such a beautiful thing. And I had a little note for myself to remind I almost forgot to tell everyone, I'm launching a meditation this week. So check things out on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium, and also on my website so that you can purchase and download it there. I'm really excited to be able to offer that to folks. And you can, as I said, check that out. And check out Barbara's website, which is www.barbarasanson.com. And she's, as I have said many, many times over, a wonderful resource for spiritual healing. And she's a registered medium here in Lilydale. And such a blessed person to be around. Thank you again, Barbara. Thank you, everyone, for your kind attention.
Bless you, Willa. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.